The inaugural edition of the Packaging MEA Forum, covering the sector's entire value chain from design through to the shelf, was held at Dubai on the 9th to the 10th of December. Over 2 days of seminars and discussions, the forum looked at the Middle East's and Africa's unique challenges and opportunities, as well as the impact of global trends in technology, business and regulation. Organised by Packaging MEA magazine, the event was attended by 140 regional packaging professionals as an unmissable addition to the sector's calendar, offering valuable networking opportunities as well as crucial business insights. Speakers at the Packaging MEA Forum's inaugural edition came from global brands such as Mars, Mondelez, Procter & Gamble, Tetra Pak and Unilever. Manufacturers and suppliers at the forum included Bobst, Fujifilm, Kodak, Pantone and Videojet. Delegates also represented top regional players such as ARC International, Emirates Printing Press, the ENPI Group and Obekan Investment Group. The date of the next edition of the forum is due to be announced shortly.
Good morning. You almost got my name right. It's Richard Ainge, and everybody gets it wrong, so don't worry about that. Now, as it says there, Chief Technology Officer and CTO, co-founder, etc. of ColorLogic. But what is ColorLogic? So, first of all, it's a solution. But for a solution, you've got to have a problem. So, first of all, let me explain what the problem is as we see it in the current market for printing onto metallic substrates, metallic inks, anything that's decorative or reflective. So, I'm just going to give you a couple of examples, first of all. Current scenario that happens at the moment with a designer. There is no foil system for printing CMYK on top of metallic silver or rainbow or holographics. So a graphic designer has to come up with some colorways. They send the colorways to the pre-press house. The pre-press house makes some color swatches, prototyping, sends it back to the designer. Designer then takes the colors, implements it into their design. They're trying to think what they want to do. They make a proof. They send it back to the pre-press house. The pre-press makes the proof, sends it backwards and forwards. You've got iterative proofing steps going backwards and forwards between the designer and the pre-press house. Okay? Now, once you've got that file right, you can then send it off to print. So that is what we see as a problem. You've got this big step in the middle of going backwards and forwards. That's going to delay your time to market. It's also going to increase the cost manufacturing from the proofing, the designer, and if anybody's in pre-press, I'm sorry about this, but pre-press like to make money. You know, they like it when you do all these proofs. They charge the designer and the agencies. So we thought, well, how can we get around that? How can we change that situation? Now, bear that one in mind. The next thing we've got to come across, how do we control it? How do you have a color-accurate system? Now, I'm not going to mention any names at the moment, but there is a color system out there for metallic ink printing, which is printed onto one type of paper. It's printed on a special machine, and you get your color book, and as a designer, you can go through this color book of metallic colors, and you can choose the color you want to use. But here's the problem. If you're printing on an offset press, you can get pretty close to that book. But if I'm a graphic designer and I'm printing on a flexo, digital press, gravure, screen printing, inkjet, UV flatbeds, how does that swatch book replicate on those other devices? This is using a different type of ink to what you're using on flexo. It's a different substrate, different formulations. But designers accept that. They accept that this is the book that we can use. So, two problems. The color book's not accurate in our opinion, and there's the solution in between that stagnates the market for the designer. So, let's go forward. I'm going to just show you a quick video, and hopefully the sound will play on this, which just explains a little bit about what ColorLogic is. ColorLogic is a new color communication system for decorative effects substrates, inks, and coatings. Graphic designers would use the ColorLogic system by approaching one of our licensed printers. The printer has printed the color charts off the press, and they provide those along with the ColorLogic Design Suite CD, which contains color palettes and plugins, to those designers. The designer now has a color-accurate color chart to choose colors from, and a quick and simple way of integrating effects using our intuitive color palettes and plugins. Using the ColorLogic system, graphic designers can now integrate sparkling dimensional effects with inside their artwork using only 5 colors, which is a CMYK ink set and 1 spot color. No post-finishing techniques are used to create all the dynamic effects with our system. The ColorLogic system can produce real eye-catching effects, but how do you see those effects without having to go onto the press? This is a problem that's often come up with our graphic designers that we work with. So what we've done is develop a 3D visualization software called FX Viewer. This allows the designer to be able to take their PDF file using the proprietary file format for ColorLogic and import it into a 3D environment, so you can actually see the effects on foil or with metallic ink printing on the screen, which means you're reducing the iterative steps of going from proof to press. Okay, so short and sharp. The reason I showed you that is that what we do as a company, it's all shiny. Standing up here with a PowerPoint presentation, it doesn't do it justice. Seeing is believing. I have samples with me here today as well, so anybody afterwards is more than welcome to come and see and feel the actual print samples. We're not actually a printer, we're a software company. We license our technology to the printer. Printers around the world can buy one of our licenses from us to reproduce our color system for ourselves. And the way that works is we have the first part, it's the printer's color communication system. And in simple terms, it's your swatch book. So we provide the color formulations to the printer, all pre-laid out on a form. The printer personalizes the swatch book and prints this on his own machine. So he's using his paper, his inks, and more importantly, it's printed using CMYK. So it's the 4 primary inks that most people are printing with. Okay, so if you're printing with a metallic ink, say let's think about conventional offset printing, silver ink goes down first. That creates the sparkle and the reflectivity. CMYK goes on the top, creates the color space. The combination of the two, the silver shows through, and you get these multiple metallic colors. So instead of printing a spot color on its own, you can print 250 metallic colors on the same sheet at the same time and have CMYK, like a picture of a face or something. Now, when you print it on a metallic substrate, that's slightly different. You're using a white ink. Now, our system, you design one file, and it can go out to either white ink or silver ink printing. It makes no difference. So the first thing, the printer prints it on his machine using his profiles as well. It means it's 100% accurate to that press. So what comes out at the end is your color guide. Give that to the designer. The designer can then choose the color accurately, knowing that it will reproduce, provided they use the same substrate and the same printer and the same inks. Now here's where profiling comes in. You're measuring the CMYK color bar across the top of your sheet. That gives you color accuracy and reproducibility. So every time you reprint your job for your client, it's going to work and it's going to match. So on shelf, all your product should look the same. If it doesn't, your process control is wrong. We're not measuring the metallic effect, we're measuring the CMYK. And it all works next from the designer. First thing, like I said, this swatch book has to be printed and then goes to the agency, along with our plugins, color palettes, and 3D software. All the colors in here has a digital code which replicates inside the software for Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, QuarkXPress, etc. Now, give you a little bit of example, and lighting doesn't really do it that much justice, but we've got a before and after shot here. Before in CMYK, and then afterwards we're printing this using ColorLogic, and we've added the effects into the design. The reason I'm showing you this is that one thing that happens in a kind of a recession market is that people go away from 5-color printing or multiple spots down to 4-color to try and cut the cost. But ultimately, metallics sell. Metallics say luxury. They say this product is worth buying. I've got a quality to it. Now, ColorLogic is economical to implement. And what I'm trying to show here is how do we help the brands? You know, we work with the brand level. We work with the printers. We work with designers. We want everybody to be successful. You know, no costly investment in machinery, meaning that we will work on any type of device, whether it's a cold foil system, whether it's UV offset, whether it's gravure. It makes no difference to us. Any machine that can print the silver or white ink. You only require 5 colors, a 5-color job. CMYK, which you're pretty much already going to be using, and either a white ink or a silver ink. Adapts to changes in your technology. So let's think for the future. A new type of machine comes out, whether it's nanotechnology, nanopigment inks. Our system, no problem. Just print the swatch book on that machine and you'll get a swatch book for that type of printing process. New substrates, new inks, new formulations, makes no difference. Print another swatch book. One swatch book, by the way, can be printed on 1 sheet of paper. So work it out for yourself. The cost to print 1 swatch book, very cheap. You'll never run out of them. Okay, so existing printing technology, as I've already covered, we work with any type of printing at all. Faster time to market. This is really where we're trying to help the brands. If you can get your product onto the shelf that little bit quicker, that's going to make you some more money. And it's not just the brand that wants to save money and make money, but the designers want to be able to make money. Everybody wants to make money. Now, I've got a background in design and pre-press, multimedia, a whole load of things. And one thing that I developed with this system is when I created the technology, I wanted to remove the need to make a white ink separation. Anybody that's in print or design that knows about white ink printing knows that you have to manually make a white ink mask. Now, that means working in reverse because you cannot see white ink on your computer screen. So you have to do this complex knockout masks, and it just takes a long time. So if you can remove all of that problem as well, you've got another system that's going to be quick and easy to integrate. You can see videos online on how this actually works. Next, we've got the iterative steps in proofing. I mentioned this in the opening speech. We take out that step because what happens is you've got a swatch book that's 100% color accurate, so you know what you're going to be getting when you put it on your machine. Then you're cutting out the design stages of adding the white masks or designing with the metallic effects. And then you have the 3D visualization software, which we call FX Viewer. The FX Viewer shows you the effects on your screen before you go out to a proof. So from a creative point of view, I can get my design right. I know the color's right because I've got my swatch book from my printer. I know the design's going to be right because I've visualized it on the screen. Now I'm ready to go to proof or print. So we mentioned 100% color accurate, and one thing we like to do is talk about ganging up multiple SKUs. So if you have multiple products that you want to print, there's usually a work around how this happens. So this is the old-fashioned method that we see quite often in the industry. So we have 4 hair care labels, okay? Now, each hair care label typically will be printed on its own repeat, step and repeat it up onto one repeat. Now, these labels had CMYK for the lady, and then we had 2 spot metallics. So to print this normally on a flexo press, we'd be looking at 24 printing plates. Okay, 24 printing plates, and this is where if you're a pre-press operator or a printer, you might not like us because you like charging 24 plates. You want your press to be full. Now, we don't. We want to be able to make money for the brands, save money for everybody. The way we do it is we would say, well, you can take those labels and you can gang them up onto one repeat, CMYK, each one's 2 spot colors, but we're replicating that out of the ColorLogic system to actually go down to 5 printing plates. 20-odd plates, 5 plates, you can see why some printers don't really like us. Now, if you have a best-selling hair care label, you maybe put 2 up of one, 3 up of another. It's completely up to you. So there are ways to reduce your manufacturing costs. It just depends on who you speak to. Okay, so color accuracy. We've gone through this before. Print the swatch book, the image on the left. This comes off your machine. It's 100% color accurate. Measure the color bar across the press sheet. You've got reproducibility. Something that a lot of brands want to do. And this is where it can get very, very costly. How do you integrate an anti-counterfeiting measure into your designs? Well, with ColorLogic, we can do some quite interesting things. We have some light-changing elements. We can create these complex metallic gradients. As we've done on this image here, we integrated like there's an image of Mount Rushmore. We made it all metallic. We then use our technology to create a covert invisible ink layer as well. So even though our technology was designed for metallic printing, we can use the same theory for printing invisible inks. We can make it as complex or as simple as we want. All you have to do is have the creative thought and apply it. So what we did here, we've got silver foil, white ink, CMYK, and an invisible red ink. And that was actually printed on a digital press. So another thing that we've been doing, working with the digital print manufacturers, people like HP Indigo. How do you control the color for metallics on a digital press when there's no digital color system out there? Well, now there is. Give you a little bit of a case study. This packaging here is actually a brewery in the UK. They originally printed on a CMYK folding box board, just normal printing. We got introduced to them, ironically through a friend of mine, but what happened was we convinced them to change the packaging design to metallics. So we did this, we helped them all out, cost, price. We wanted a case study. And as the title says there, this is their words. By changing over to a metallic board using color logic, and I think more often it's more about the metallic board, really, being honest, sales increased by 1/3. If you can grow your brand by changing away from CMYK printing to add an extra level of metallic in there, you can make something sell. Next one, any ladies out there use GHD hair straighteners? Big brand out of the UK, now gone global, $150 million corporation. And I went through their internet website and I picked out some little reviews actually from their site. This is not made up or anything. And the reason I picked these out is that these customers are mentioning the packaging. They've bought a set of hair straighteners that cost £200, very expensive, yet they're mentioning the packaging. Wow, the packaging looks great, fantastic colors, love the packaging, using color logic. Now, benefits. I'm just going to quickly run through these, but really it's all about, it's an adaptive color system. It will change as the environment changes. So we're not going to be one of these, we're here now and what's going to happen in the future, what you're going to do, but we will adapt as changes in the environment change. Works with all major printing platforms. It's a great way to generate new revenue opportunities. If you are a printer in here and you want to be able to get a new client, it's easier to go and knock on the door and say, can I come and show you this new technology, than can I show you what I'm doing like everybody else? You've got to be unique. You've got to have a unique selling point. Faster time to market. We all want to have faster time to market, ultimately. And minimum uptime on, maximum uptime on press, minimum downtime in the design studio. The reason for that last statement is that if you're interrupting your printing press to do proofing and stop, start, you're not being very productive. You want to maintain the maximum uptime on your press, printing jobs, minimum downtime in the studio, so you've got faster throughput of work, and that should, as a business for a printer, increase your sales. We do, however, have a roadblock, as we like to call it. Not everybody shares our vision about what color logic is and what it can do. As I mentioned, printers and pre-press operators make money from charging for all those proofs and the errors that are made by the designers. They charge for everything. I know, I was pre-press, I had a print company. But ultimately, you're either an innovator or you'll be a stagnator. And I'm sorry to have to say that, but it's the innovative companies that will succeed. What are you going to do that stands out from the rest of the people? We're going around the world now. We work with some pretty high-profile brands. Some of them up on the screen at the moment. This really just shows the level of people that we're working with. Some of the brands are confidential, that we can't explain what they are. Most of these are done through our licensed print groups. So printers will buy the license, they then start doing work. And these cover everything from large format print to packaging to flexible pack to offset printing. And then at the bottom, we've got some smaller brands. We're not all about the big brand. We work for everybody. It's cost effective, it's easy and economical to implement. So if anybody has any more questions after this, they can either come and see me outside, or you can go to the website and find out some more information for yourself. So thank you very much for your time today. My name was Richard. If you have any questions, shout them out or come and see me afterwards. Thank you very much.